All right, keep that same energy going and give it up for Maxie Jones. Maxie. In 1985, I returned to college to finish off my last 2 years. I had got kicked out of college like 3 years before that. So when I got accepted, it was like so close to the school year starting that I couldn't secure a dormitory room. So an ex-girlfriend of mine, she called and said, listen, my parents said you could stay in the house with them until you found a room in a dormitory. She had already moved out of town, so it was just me and her parents. So I moved in with them, and when I moved in, I had this really old car. Like I had bought a car just to go to college. It was like, I paid like $400 for it. And something went wrong with the car one day, so her father says, so what are you gonna do about that? And I was like, oh man, I'll put it in the shop tomorrow. He's like, oh yeah? He said, what time is your first class in the morning? I said, oh, it's like 10 o'clock. He's like, okay, and he went to bed. So the next morning, he walks in my room at 6 o'clock in the morning, wearing coveralls, he had tools. He's like, come on, man, let's go. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, oh, we're going to fix the car. I said, I told you I'm putting it in the shop. He said, not in this house. In this house, we don't pay people to fix cars. We fix them ourselves. And in my mind, I was like, I ain't really in this house. So, but I'm staying there. So, we go outside, we fix the car. And it was the first time I had ever done anything like that. And, I drove my car to my 10 o'clock class, and it actually felt great to have driven the car that I fixed myself. So we started doing it more often. We would fix the car whenever something went wrong. We'd do bigger and bigger jobs. And I actually started to enjoy it. So one day, I was in the student union, and this young lady walks up to me, and she goes, excuse me, you got a car, don't you? I was like, yeah, why? She said, listen, I need you to do me a favor. I want you to take me to my car. I want to get all the stuff out of it because I'm going to leave it there. I'm like, for what? She said, the transmission fell out of it. She said, the transmission fell out of it, and the mechanic told me how much it's going to cost to fix it, and I don't have that much. So he said, if I take all my stuff out, he would dispose of it for me. So I took her to her car. And while she was getting her stuff out, I looked underneath, and it wasn't her transmission, it was her drive shaft. The universal joints had gone on the car, and the drive shaft was on the ground. So I went to the payphone, and I called Mr. Hodges. I was like, yo, Mr. Hodges, you won't believe this shit, man. This mechanic trying to rob her, man. He's like, take that drive shaft out, put it in the car, and bring it to the house. I took the drive shaft out. I told her, I said, look, we're going to my house. Put it in the car, we went to the house. In 1986, it cost $7 to buy a universal joint repair kit. We went in the basement, and Mrs. Hodges cooked dinner and was talking to her and all that. We were in the basement fixing it. We fixed the drive shaft, took it back, I put it in the car, and she drove off. So we decided we're gonna make some money. I was a college student, so anytime a college student's car was down, I was like, bring it to my house. And me and Mr. Hodges, we would fix it for however much, and we would just split the money. And that's how I kept money in my pocket for the last 2 years of college. I was a shade tree mechanic majoring in English. You know how I finally knew that I had reached mechanic-hood? When I knew I was a mechanic? Mr. Hodges and I were outside working on a car. We were deep in an engine. I mean, we had grease up to our elbows. I'm running out of time. We had grease. Mrs. Hodges came out with some sandwiches, because we had been working for hours. Mrs. Hodges came out with some sandwiches. She said, y'all look hungry. And we were so hungry, we didn't even wash our hands. We just took the sandwiches and started eating them. That's when I knew I was a mechanic. So about 15 years after I graduated from college, I was applying for a job with U-Haul, and I was applying to be a customer service supervisor. And they told me you got to go on this website and take a test. So when I went on the website led me to a mechanics test first. So I was like, I'm not applying to be a mechanic, but I couldn't back out of the mechanics test. So I just like clicked through the test, and then it went to the customer service test, and I took the customer service test. So when I went for my interview, the lady was like, I don't understand. Are you applying to be a mechanic or a customer service supervisor? I said, I'm applying to be a customer service supervisor, but the website took me to a mechanics test. She said, no, no, no. I know the website, she said, it does that to everybody, and everyone just clicks through the test. She says, but you got 100 on the test. She's like, you sure you don't want to be a mechanic? Stupid me was like, no, I want to be a customer service supervisor. Because I had a degree, you know. Anyway, I didn't get the job. Because a lot of people wanted to be a customer service supervisor. They would have just handed me the job of a mechanic. But anyway, today, I don't get my hands dirty, and I don't work on cars, and I don't do all that stuff. But anytime I take my car to a mechanic, I know what he's talking about. Like, he can't talk over my head. You know, and they're always surprised, because I'm always like in a shirt and tie, and they're talking, and I'm talking back, and he's like, how do you know this? And I don't tell him, you know, I used to do all that stuff. But I did. And I really owe it to Mr. Hodges for waking me up 6 o'clock that morning and teaching me that, yeah, you know, you're going to college and you're going to get a job where you wear a suit and tie, but it don't hurt to roll up your sleeve and get your hands dirty once in a while.